Amstrad CPC means a lot to me. Will you come and see how I play Dizzy? If you're in love with retro gaming, come and join the board. And if you want a Friday foursome, watch him and you could. Novabug.
How you doing, everyone? Novabug here, and I'm going to show you some toys, or little gadgets I've got, and hopefully some live restoration. I'll show you how restoration is done, which is the project I'm currently working on. So essentially, excuse me, let's go over here. I have got all these games. All these are the failed games from Amstrad Live Game Testing. I'll leave a link to one of the Amstrad Live Game Testing shows in the description box if you've never caught the show. And essentially all these games have failed to load on all of my Amstrad CPC 464s. Where the Tiger, Battle Valley, Technocop, and so on and so on. 3 copies of Airwolf, for Christ's sake. 2 copies of Outrun. It's almost like the CPC knows it doesn't want to load them. But there are some crackers in here that don't load. For instance, the clamshell version of Way of the Exploding Fist. I've got Bubble Bobble in here as well. R-Type on the Hit Squad label. Secret Arm of Anti-Raid. Yeah, there's loads. So the point is, because of all the, especially like Technocop, you know, the point is to basically restore this to working condition. Now, people would say, they might say, this is pointless. Why would you want to do that when there's so many different technologies you've got to load games onto things? And that's true. I have got 4 different devices that I can link up to all 4 of my CPCs, and they will all load games onto them. But that's not the point, is it? The point is to have a working copy as original as possible. So I'm planning on what to do is to heat the labels off as best I can in these sort of tapes. There's many things that are wrong with some of these cassettes. A lot of the time, I think Technocop, I think the code is degraded so much on the cassette that it can't read anymore. A lot of them have been not rewound properly, so therefore the tape has become concaved and damaged while it's been exposed on the rim like that. This one tape's broken anyway, so it doesn't really matter that it's like that. Otherwise, some of them have been, the tape has been physically damaged. Sometimes the tape has got too tight in the spool and the machine has chewed, or they've been chewed in the past, or some other damage. But the cassette cases, I mean Technocop, for instance, is a great example because it's in really, really good condition, and so is the inlay, and the inlay is in really perfect condition. So the point is to get the code on a new cassette. So what I've done is I've managed to acquire a fair few of these C20 cassettes. I've also got some C30 cassettes as well. There's 10 minutes on either side of these. Because you don't need a long time, you don't need a long cassette run time on a lot of these games, unless they're multi-game, multi-loaders. But normally a C30, possibly a C40 would be perfectly fine. You've got 10 minutes on either side of this. With a C30 you've got 15 minutes on either side of the tape. There's normally plenty. 20 minutes probably maximum. You don't need more than that, and you want less tape as possible to get this done. So how do we do it? So the point is, we are going to essentially replace that for that. That's the idea. Now you could do this in several ways. You could record the new code onto this tape and put the spools inside this, but that involves breaking out, you know, really awkwardly breaking out this molded cassette. You don't want to do that. This is a screw cassette, it's a lot easier to handle with. So when you just place the whole cassette, it's a lot easier just to replace the entire cassette. I mean, they're exactly the same as far as cassette go. I mean, the tape is audio quality, so it's perfectly fine for game code. You know, so its range is perfectly acceptable for game code. To be honest, these cassettes are probably higher quality than these original cassettes were anyway. And then I'd take the label, say heat the label off, and then sort of glue the label onto there and create a new tape. That goes in the cassette, and you've created a restored version. So I didn't think this would work initially, because I've been a bit experimenting a bit. I put the wrong cassette in there, look, I'm already jumping the gun. So the setup I've got here is, I've got a Sony TCM 818, which is a excellent little tape recorder. It's a really high quality, high build tape recorder, and I got this off eBay for £16. A fantastic bargain. It's second hand, but it's in absolutely mint perfect condition. I've cleaned all the edges, cleaned all the insides, and like I say, it's really solid construction, this. But also, more tellingly, it has the input there, the mic input, which is mono, it's fine, which is what you need, and a REM input, which is really handy. Now, you don't need to have the REM input on some games, but it might be a case of the fact that because the Amstrad, and there, I'm just point the camera over there at Frankie and Sonic. Yeah, so some cassettes obviously will have speed locks, they'll have different kind of timing security loaders and things like that, and also sometimes the cassette will stop while loading, while the Amstrad compiles something, while the Amstrad loads a loading screen maybe, or for some other reason. This is the reason why when you use something like this, which is the TZX Dunio, you really need, this is a CDT, essentially a CDT tape player emulator kind of a box. I've shown this before, I think, on one of the shows. So the CDT files are essentially tape files. So I'm really speaking to the layman here. You probably can't see the display there. It's probably a little bit too bright. Yeah, you can just make it out there. I've got Arkanoid queued up, and there's a reason for that. So yeah, so this will send out the original tape signal if you get hold of the ROM, which are available on many websites, mostly CPC power. Audio jack into the mic of the tape recorder, blank cassette in there, and press record on there, press play on here, and hopefully, luckily, the code transfers over to the cassette, everything all well. As I say, we can use the REM, which will automatically stop the code when there's a break in the tape, when there's a planned stop in the code, and that will automatically stop that, which will technically automatically stop that as well, and then continue on when the Dunio fires up again. For some tapes and some games, that may be needed. But the first game I've tested before recording this, and I'll put the camera back up now, was this. Now this famously chewed on stream, I believe. It either chewed, or it might have been Postman Pat 2 actually. But Postman Pat 1 did not load, and it didn't. And I think this was the one that chewed. Can't remember, but it don't load. It's knackered. The code's just buggered on the tape. So I've tried this on, like I say, all three of the Amstrads. My mint condition one, my one that needs essentially a new tape head or demagnetizing. That doesn't really load much nowadays. And this one, which is my restored Amstrad CPC 464. And I just tested this, and as you can see, Postman Pat loaded off a cassette that I've just recorded. And that was this cassette right here. That cassette right there loaded, and so that's quite something really. I was astounded that it actually worked, but it did. So what we're going to do as we continue this video, we will queue up Arkanoid, because Arkanoid on the Hit Squad label is another game that did not work, did not load. So we're going to queue it up, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to do it. Right, so we've got Arkanoid there. This is the original tape, like I said, does not work. Here is a brand new C20 cassette, and so we're going to pop that in the tape recorder. Now obviously there's a little bit of runoff at the beginning of the tape. You don't want to be pressing the go button on the TZX too soon, because you might miss code. And like I say, this is a game that I've not tested yet, so this will be live testing essentially. It may work, it may not. Like I said, it might need the REM cable, and unfortunately I haven't got the correct adaptation. I've got this adaptation, which you need to go to the 3.0 jack. I need another 3.0 jack to go in that side. So you could get that, and that's what I am getting. But in the meantime, let's try this. So it's a simple process. I mean, I've got everything powered up and hooked up here. You simply press record. I've got the Arkanoid thing queued up, and just press play. Just press play, and off he goes. And I'm just going to zoom in on there so you can see. There we go. You can see it ticking along there. You can see it ticking down. There's the percentage right there. I shouldn't have got my finger in the way there, should I? So that's playing the code. You can't hear it, of course, because it's recording. But there you can see the blocks ticking down. See the timer, the counter, should I say, and the percentage. There you go. So we're going to leave that do that while we focus on something else as well. This is very special. Let me zoom out a bit. You don't want to see that. Well, you do want to see that because you want to see the glorious 6128 here. So there is my 6128 also set up, dubbed Donny, and you also notice something on the top. Now, many aficionados will know exactly what that is, but this one, this GoTek USB disk emulator, or flash emulator, or whatever you want to call it, it's a GoTek essentially. It's a disk emulator. So you have the disk files on here. Your disk files go in your USB. They can go straight into the root. You know, it's perfectly fine. And this has got the flash floppy firmware on it, which is free in public domain, which will read all that and translate that into the 6128. This one I had purposely built for me by the amazing Simon Green. I cannot thank you enough, Simon. This is a wonderful piece of work he's done. Absolutely excellent. I'm not sure whether he bought this. I think he bought this case or whether he 3D. But it looks like it's definitely 3D printed. But it's a fantastic design. Really compact, lovely rear stack selector on the front as well, and a really lovely LED display, OLED display. Excellent stuff. So we'll turn them on, and we turn that on in position, be it there's a switch at the back there, and I'll just show you actually. So I've got the edge connector here with a ribbon cable obviously going into the back, and of course it's powered via the CPC itself. So the 5 volt comes out of the monitor, goes into a split, and then goes into the 6128 and also into the GoTek. Switcher on. I'll have to move the camera up here a bit. There we go, so you can see everything going on while Arkanoid still loads. And I can switch that down now and then select a game from here. I'll zoom in for you. So as you can see on there, you've got this lovely bright OLED display. It's 2-bin selected at the moment, so I'm going to turn that to something like, say, oh, there's Iridium there, it's fantastic. Thunderjaws, Thunderburner, Thunderblade, The Trapdoor, Shadows of Sergol, fantastic game. Target Renegade, there we go. Target Renegade, so I've selected Target Renegade, and it's a simple case. I'll just pressing cat, finding the file, and it's so simple. You don't have to do anything. You just run target. Whoops, I'll spell that right. Run target, and with any luck, there you go. As you can see, Target Renegade loads up instantly. Wait for that legendary music to start. Wait for it, wait for it, wait for it. Will come. There he goes. And that's how easy that is. So good. It's a lovely little device. Brilliantly compact, stylishly looking, sits snugly on the top of the disk drive like that. Many people, what they do here, let me turn that down a bit. Many people, what they do here is they just essentially pull the disk drive out of this. They pull the disk drive out of this, and therefore you haven't got a working disk drive. I don't want to do that. This disk drive is perfectly functional. It's perfectly fine, and it reads discs, and I want it to continue to read discs. Seldom chance that I want to, to get more discs in the future. I like the format, so I want it fully functional, and more importantly, original as well, to keep it as original as possible. So by adding the GoTek in this fashion, just by plugging it into the disc extra disc port at the back, it's just a lot simpler to do that. Just a lot simpler to do that. And I think it looks great on the top there. Tuck that ribbon cable in, and it's a lovely setup, and it works really, really well. So again, thank you to Simon for that. It's fantastic. You can get a lot of information on this if you multiple websites. Just GoTek CPC and you'll find loads of stuff. There's a couple of firmwares you can put on this, flash floppy, and there's another firmware also you can buy. HXC, of course, will run fine on that, which a lot of people do, and they'll have sometimes you have a purpose-built loader software as well. I don't need that. I'm perfectly happy with this lovely little display like this. So yeah, thank you, Simon. I mean, this is amazing. This entire thing here is essentially the product of Mr. Simon Major Green. Love him long time. He gifted me this wonderful 6128, and then he built me this. Obviously I paid for this, you know, which I was glad to do, and it was he gave me a great price on it, a really good deal. Thank you again. Right, let's move back to what we were doing with the cassette deck. I'm going to turn the music of Renegade off in a minute. So it's finished. You probably heard me stop it. So this finished. It got to 100%, and I manually stopped the tape. So now, and didn't use much up, did it? Didn't use much up at all. So we'll rewind, and we'll see how it goes on the 464. Okay, right. So here's the original cassette right here. No rubbish, doesn't work. This is the one I've just recorded and just rewound. Like I said, that process is very, very simple, and obviously went into a bit of research down how to do this, how to source the cassettes, how to sort the replacements, methods on how to do sticker removal and stuff like that, and of course downloading the correct files and getting the right equipment to do it, the quality equipment to do it, and that's what you need. So let's see if Arkanoid loads up. So you can see the tape moving there. Let's see if Arkanoid starts to load. With any luck. Well, we've got something. And yeah, it stopped like it should. Fantastic. Sounds a bit rough, that tape, but that's I've got some new tapes going. These are my test tapes as well for this kind of stuff. I was just zooming there. Sorry about the reflection on the main lights there. I'm actually in the process of changing my lights in the bug loft, so we get some well, essentially better lighting, so it doesn't reflect so much. But will this work is the key. Will it work? No, unfortunately it didn't. It's a shame that. It's a shame that didn't work. We might be able to we'll try again actually with we'll give it another go, because what we'll do is we'll try and see if the volume made a significant thing there. Now, as much as that failed, I'm not disappointed. Like I said, because there are so many different variants of CDT files. You can use other CDT files and get hold of different rips of the tape code to do it with. If you don't first succeed, try again. This is a brand new tape, so it shouldn't be the tape. And of course, so I'm not wholly disappointed yet. You see, at this point that tape should stop a little bit more, I believe, but I don't know. See, it's hit and miss whether we can get it to work in that. So it is a testing process to get the right combination of the right tape, the right code and everything else. See that, I believe there the tape should stop, and it didn't. It's probably going to reset again. It's probably going to reset again. So I believe there the tape should have stopped but didn't. Oh, on the other hand, I could be talking rubbish and we could be in business here. Now that's interesting. Now that is very interesting there, because all I did there was change the volume on the CPC So maybe that had a significant impact. Which does happen. It can happen to have a significant impact in changing the volume on the CPC to load certain games. So we'll just leave this here and fast forward a bit and see if it does load. And then we'll consider it a success in this manner. And then every time I will sort of like put a little note on the inside of in the cassettes, a little note, maybe a little sticker saying what kind of see, we've got some flashing there. That didn't look right. Oh, maybe not. We had some little blip in there, like a bit of maybe that was a bit of see-through code. I don't know. Maybe. But I'm pretty sure that this cassette was entirely blank. It's probably a case that just needs to be set at the right volume. Like I said, I put a little label on a rough gauge of where the volume control should be, halfway, 3/4, all that kind of stuff. If that is the case, because these things can be temperamental like that. But if I get a fully restored game out of it, then it's all the well good, and I can happily place that cassette back in the original Arkanoid cassette Hit Squad release, and I've got a fully restored game. And to be honest, I was thinking about maybe doing this as a hobby for anybody else that wants their tapes restored, because I don't think anybody else has been doing this. I'm sure they haven't. Maybe they haven't. Maybe they have, but not shown it on video or anything. Who knows? But I think changing the volume there really didn't make a significant impact. But as you can see, the code has loaded fine on the tape, and the CPC is reading it. I think it may be a case of just making sure that volume isn't too loud. Just maybe too strong a signal for the Amstrad. I believe the original tape, I'm not sure how far the original tape got into the load. I know that it's damaged somewhere in the tape, and that's why it didn't load. So if it does load, it'll be absolutely incredible. And that's 2 games I've already restored in the space of about half an hour. And there you go, Arkanoid loaded. And so what do you that's pretty amazing, isn't it? So a few gadgets and a quality cassette recorder, and you have Arkanoid loaded. And I'm just going to make sure it plays, which it should do. All right. Dun, 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 dun. Is everything fine? Is it not corrupt? No, it's perfectly fine. Perfectly playable. Exactly what you'd expect from the actual game itself. But it's not. It's a replacement cassette with the same game code in it, which will go back into the cassette box. And I've got a fully restored cassette version of Arkanoid that loads perfectly fine. Fantastic. I'm absolutely chuffed. Absolutely chuffed. But it's a long process, like I say. I'm putting the camera up now, you don't want to see me chest. Thank you. Like I say, it's a long process, and I've got plenty of tapes to restore. I've got to get through them, and they all of them, apart from any copies of crap games, Amsoft stuff and stuff like that, all of them will be restored. And failed games will be a thing of the past. And any failed games, of course, that happen on the stream will go into the restore pile. Thanks for watching, guys, and I hope you found that informative. I say, this is a brilliant tape recorder. Fantastic piece of kit. Old school, but it's the best school. Cheers, guys. For Arkanoid, Novabug out. Hey, Novabug here. I do hope you enjoyed this video. Please support the channel by liking and commenting, and of course subscribing if you haven't already done. If you would like to support me further, please consider joining my Bug Army via Patreon. And also don't forget to follow me over at Facebook, Twitter, BitChute and Twitch. And finally, a very special mention to my Bug Army generals Sam M, Sweet Nanook and Craig Harrison. Thank you everyone for supporting me. Novabug out.